The evening before Thanksgiving, I stood in the softly lit gallery of my grandmother Beatrice's elegant Victorian home in Willowbrook, New York, flanked by a trusted locksmith and my attorney Rachel. The reinforced steel door we were installing would seal away the heart of the house by morning. My greedy mother and uncle had no idea their long-planned takeover was already doomed. They expected to swoop in with fake documents and smug confidence. What they didn't realize was that I'd spent years steeling myself for this moment of betrayal, ever since Grandma B made me vow to safeguard what she cherished above all. My name is Ava Harper, and I was only 7 when my parents left me on Grandma B's doorstep with a small suitcase and my favorite stuffed rabbit. They promised it was temporary, just until their fresh start in Florida paid off. 25 years later, that temporary stay had become my entire world. They never returned, chasing one failed venture after another. While I grew up in this sprawling house filled with breathtaking oil paintings, delicate bronzes, and echoes of 4 generations of Langfords, Grandma B was barely 5 feet tall, yet her presence filled every room like a force of nature. She became my mother, my teacher, my confidant, a woman who taught me that true family isn't defined by blood, but by who stands beside you through every season. The house itself was a living museum, a tribute to my late grandfather Thomas, who'd made his fortune in manufacturing but poured his soul into beauty. He passed before I was born, but his love letters to be lived on in every carefully selected piece. Each painting marked an anniversary. Each sculpture celebrated a milestone in their 40-year marriage. These aren't just decorations, Ava, she'd say during our Sunday morning walks through the gallery, her gentle hand in mine. The afternoon light would dance across the canvases, revealing hidden stories in every brushstroke. By age 12, I could spot an authentic piece from across the room. By 16, I helped her document new arrivals. Fresh out of college with an art history degree she proudly funded, I landed a position as the youngest assistant curator at the Willowbrook Cultural Center. The collection had grown to be worth well over $1 million. But to us it was never about money. It was Grandpa Thomas's enduring gift of wonder, a reminder that beauty outlasts us all. My mother Vanessa visited sporadically, usually when her latest scheme crumbled. She'd arrive in flashy outfits that barely hid the strain of debt, plan an air kiss on my cheek, and spend the visit appraising the walls like an auctioneer. Mom, have you updated the insurance lately? This place must cost a fortune to maintain, she'd say with feigned concern. Grandma B would smile politely and steer the conversation to my latest exhibit success. Uncle Marcus was even more transparent. BA's only son would drop by unannounced, reeking of failed business deals and cheap aftershave, his eyes lingering too long on frames and pedestals. I'd catch him snapping photos of signatures or checking makers' marks on sculptures. When confronted, he'd chuckle it off, just admiring the family treasures. Ava, no harm in looking right, but everything about it felt wrong. They viewed Grandma not as a mother, but as a barrier to their expected windfall. They never inquired about her bridge club friends, her library volunteering, or her health. They certainly never asked about me, the granddaughter who showed up every single day. For 25 years, I was there for doctor's visits, gallery outings, quiet evenings sharing stories of the past. In return, Grandma taught me to see beauty everywhere and the courage to defend it. One crisp autumn afternoon when I was 28, we sat in the gallery as golden light bathed the room. They'll come for everything once I'm gone. Ava, she said quietly. Your mother, your uncle, they've been telling values since Thomas passed. But these pieces are memories. Love made visible. Promise me you'll keep them safe. Not let them become bargaining chips. I promised without pause. Little did I know how soon that vow would face its ultimate test. As my expertise grew at the museum, I recognized their patterns all too well: the sudden interest in an elderly relative's assets, the circling of those who see art only as quick cash. Vanessa's visits ramped up as Grandma entered her 80s. She'd arrive with brochures for retirement homes and calculations showing how much we could simplify her life by selling off pieces. During one visit, she even brought an estate liquidator disguised as a casual friend. Uncle Marcus took a bolder tack. His string of bankruptcies left him desperate. He'd arrive with business proposals requiring just a small advance from the collection's value. When refused, he'd pace the room muttering about idle wealth. The breaking point arrived one Sunday during dinner prep. Voices from the gallery drew us in. Marcus had brought an appraiser uninvited, who was photographing everything while Marcus listed estimated prices. That landscape study alone could wipe my debts clean. Mom barely notices half these anymore. I burst in, hands dusted with flour from BEA's biscuits. What do you think you're doing? Marcus barely flinched. Just estate planning.
Ava.
Someone has to think practically. Get out, I said, voice low and steady. Both of you. He sneered. You can't throw me out of my mother's house. You're the charity case, she pitted. Those words cut deep. But Grandma appeared then, frail yet commanding. Ava has been more family to me than you ever were.
Marcus.
She stays. You leave. Afterward, she sat heavily amid the artworks. They're growing desperate, like sharks sensing weakness. That night, a pocket-dialed call from Marcus to Grandma's landline revealed their chilling plan. The old lady won't last forever, he told Vanessa. Once she's gone, we liquidate fast. Ava thinks she's protector, but she has no real claim. We'll contest any will favoring her, paint her as incompetent. Vanessa's laugh was sharp. We'll document neglect, improper care, force the court to hand it over. I stood frozen,
Heart pounding.
They planned not just to take the collection but to shatter our reputations. That evening, I shared everything with Grandma. She listened quietly, then took my hands. I always suspected. But you, Ava, you carry the best of us. Promise you'll protect, not just the art, but what it stands for, the love, the history. I promise, I whispered. Whatever it takes. The very next day, Grandma and I met with Rachel Miller in her Willowbrook office. Documents, appraisals, and inventory lists covered the table. 3 years of meticulous preparation on my part. Mrs. Langford, what you're proposing is not only legal but wise given the circumstances, Rachel explained. An irrevocable trust transferring the collection immediately.
While you're of sound mind.
Ava as sole trustee. With strict terms, pieces stay intact. Can only go to reputable museums with her approval. Your children receive nothing from it. Grandma nodded firmly. Make it unbreakable. Rachel. Ava has earned this through loyalty. I hesitated briefly, suggesting perhaps a token gesture, but she cut me off.
No.
They've shown their colors. We documented everything. High-resolution photos, professional appraisals, medical statements from Dr. Ellis confirming Grandma's sharp mental acuity at 83. Witnesses, including neighbor Judge Harlan and her bridge friends, signed affidavits. The physical move was the most delicate part. We sourced museum-quality reproductions through my contacts at the Cultural Center, clearly marked as copies on the reverse, but indistinguishable from the front. Night after night, trusted handlers from the museum worked discreetly, cataloging, wrapping, and transporting originals to a climate-controlled vault in Albany. Access required biometrics and logs. The reproductions went up seamlessly. To outsiders, nothing had changed. It feels like living in a beautiful illusion, Grandma remarked one evening, gazing at the new walls. It's temporary, I assured her. She smiled sadly. Until I'm gone. I know my time is short, but I'll rest easy knowing Thomas's gifts are secure. Rachel also secured my appointment as Grandma's healthcare proxy and power of attorney. Let them notice, Grandma said with a spark. It'll be too late. Documents filed.
Copies secured.
I thought we were ready, but I underestimated how viciously they would strike once Grandma passed quietly one November morning, 5 days before Thanksgiving. I held her hand as she slipped away peacefully in her favorite chair. Autumn light filtering through lace curtains. Her last words, remember the music box key? Ava. Inside that antique French music box on her dresser. Beneath the lining lay a sealed letter and a recorded video, her final safeguards. I called Vanessa and Marcus immediately. Voice steady amid grief. Grandma passed peacefully this morning. Vanessa's first question, arrangements and timing. Marcus. Don't let anyone in until I arrive. Secure the assets. Assets, while her body was still warm. The funeral overflowed with those she'd touched, former students, library volunteers, artists she'd mentored. I delivered the eulogy, honoring the woman who showed me wealth lies in preserved beauty and shared love. Vanessa and Marcus played grieving roles in the front row, dabbing dry eyes and shifting impatiently. The reception at the house, now legally mine per her updated will leaving it and modest funds to me, $50,000 each to them, revealed cracks. Their eyes scanned walls hungrily. Marcus snapped discreet photos. Vanessa probed Dr. Ellis about mental decline. That evening,
Alone.
they demanded estate talks. I handed them Grandma's letter from the music box. It was unflinching, awareness of their schemes, photography sessions, manipulations, affirmation of my role through love, not entitlement, warning against dishonoring her memory. Marcus crumpled it in rage. Manipulation. No court will accept this. Vanessa hissed. You've stolen our birthright. I remained calm. Everything was documented. Medical evals, videos of her wishes, witnesses. She anticipated your moves. They stormed out, already dialing lawyers, vowing to contest. Days later, a process server delivered their forged will from 2 years prior, naming Marcus executor and splitting assets equally, with only my grandmother's old piano for me. The signature was close but flawed, the curve of the B, pen pressure off. Grandma's meticulous records included photos of her actual signature from that era, proving inconsistency. The legitimate prior will also favored me consistently. Evidence mounted. Local printer Tom called about Marcus buying specialty aged paper for restoration. He provided an affidavit. They filed bar complaints against Rachel. Reports to protective services alleging abuse. Even contacted my workplace hinting theft. Each required exhausting defenses, financial records proving my selfless care. Character witnesses. Stress mounted. But Grandma's words echoed. They would come for it all. I hired a PI revealing Marcus's fraud history. Debts to shady creditors. Vanessa's lawsuits from partners. Their desperation fueled boldness. Marcus arrived with a locksmith and truck, claiming executive rights. I barricaded, called police. Officers reviewed documents, sided with me pending court, until ruled otherwise. Ms. Harper resides here legally. Their ignorance of the trust was my edge. They fought for replicas worth nothing. I decided to seize the narrative publicly on Thanksgiving, exposing everything before witnesses in their own trap. Preparations transformed the house into a strategic stronghold. Locksmith Derek installed biometric steel security on the gallery overnight. Rachel arrived with paralegals and document boxes. We removed reproductions to the basement, replacing them with enlarged photos of originals labeled Secured in Irrevocable Trust. Albany Vault plus legal excerpts. Folders at each Thanksgiving place setting held damning evidence, forged versus real signatures, printer receipt, debt records, pocket dial transcript. Witnesses confirmed. Judge Harlan.
Dr. Ellis.
Bridge friends including Margaret. Museum board members. Off-duty Officer Reyes. I briefed them. Let the relatives expose themselves. Grandma's video. Recorded months earlier in the gallery. Waited to play. Thanksgiving morning. I prepared BEA's traditional feast. Turkey aromas filling the home. Stirring fresh grief. Witnesses arrived bearing dishes, forming a supportive circle. By early afternoon, the black sedan pulled up. Vanessa air-kissed me with heavy perfume. Marcus pushed past, eyeing the new steel door suspiciously. Their lawyer Brennan carried a briefcase, a photographer tagged along. I welcomed them into the dining room. Their faces paled opening folders. Before dinner, I stood. Let's address the forged will you've produced. Judge Harlan interjected. Presenting this in court would be felony fraud.
Dr.
Ellis confirmed capacity. Gasps followed revelations of the trust. I led everyone to the gallery. Unlocked biometrically. Walls held only photos and documents, no originals. The collection moved to secure vault 3 months ago. Protected irrevocably. You've battled over nothing. Silence shattered by Marcus's roar. You can't do this. Vanessa tore a photo down. Theft. Manipulation. Margaret played Grandma's video. Beatrice's clear voice detailing awareness of schemes. Affirming my loyalty. Exposing 8 visits in 5 years solely for assessment. If you've forged a will, prosecute fully. Marcus lunged. Officer Reyes intervened. The pocket dial played. Voices plotting liquidation pre-funeral. Painting me incompetent. Witnesses recoiled in disgust. Brennan distanced himself, unaware of trust and video. Need to review. I handed more folders, PI findings, affidavits. These reproductions in the basement are what you schemed for. Downstairs, I showed the fake Hopper-like sketch. Back-stamped reproduction. You never valued the art. Only $signs. Couldn't distinguish masterpiece from copy. Marcus examined it in horror. Worthless. Vanessa sobbed real tears. We're family, I replied bitterly. Family shows up. Family doesn't plot against a dying mother. You've been vultures. Brennan withdrew immediately, suggesting criminal counsel. The photographer captured their unraveling instead of victory. Tension peaked as Marcus stepped aggressively. You manipulative, Officer Reyes blocked. That threat, plus fraud evidence, requires station questioning. Backup arrived. Neighbors watched as they were escorted to patrol cars. Their car sat abandoned in the driveway. The house lightened post-departure. We shared dinner celebrating BEA's life over turkey and pie. Battle turned communion. Judge Harlan outlined. DA likely to charge forgery. Fraud. Strong evidence for conviction. Possible prison. Permanent estate forfeiture. 3 weeks later, indictments followed. Facing overwhelming proof, video, recordings, affidavits, paper trail, Vanessa and Marcus accepted plea, 5 years probation. Hefty fines. Barred from estate claims or contact with me. Forced to leave New York. Local paper headlined, Granddaughter safeguards $1 million legacy from fraudulent heirs, praising foresight and dedication. Their reputations shattered. Marcus's ventures collapsed. Vanessa ousted from circles. The $50,000 each vanished quickly to legal fees. 6 months on, I restored the gallery properly, climate control, security. Originals returned home. But now shared, monthly public openings for students, seniors, locals experiencing beauty freely. I founded the Beatrice Langford Arts Education Foundation, funding scholarships for disadvantaged youth needing belief and opportunity, like the girl Grandma raised. On the first anniversary, a memorial exhibition drew crowds. Margaret brought flowers, Dr. Ellis spoke of generous spirit, Officer Reyes. Now, friend. Attended. Before Grandpa's favorite landscape study. I felt her presence in preserved legacy, not mystical, but real. Loyalty over blood. Integrity defeating greed. Truth as ultimate weapon. A note slipped under the door one night. No return. Vanessa's handwriting. Hope you're happy with what you've done. I was, peacefully. Utterly. Legacy safe. True family, those who loved her essence, gathered amid beauty no greed could touch. Paintings endure as testaments to promises kept, living well as finest response to betrayal. Yet echoes linger. In quiet moments, the moral weight settles. What price loyalty when blood demands inheritance over love? How far does protection justify exposing family fractures publicly? Grandma's lesson haunts gently. Beauty and integrity prevail when defended fiercely. But the cost, shattered illusions of family, leaves an indelible ache. Would defending a loved one's wishes against greed always demand such public reckoning? Or is silence sometimes kinder? The house stands, table set each Thanksgiving with her china, surrounded by chosen family, grateful for the woman who proved good can triumph, yet questioning if victory always feels this bittersweet. In the months following, the foundation took root. First scholarship recipient, a talented teen from a struggling Hudson Valley family, stood tearfully at opening night, echoing my own path. Community embraced the gallery as living tribute, attendance surging. Friends became family. Margaret's Bridge group hosted events. Judge Harlan advised on expansions. Yet solitude brought deeper questions. Had exposing them publicly been justice or cruelty? Grandma's video played in my mind, her calm strength choosing transparency. Greed's exposure served warning, but family bonds severed permanently carried quiet grief. Each piece on walls whispered of choices: protect legacy at personal cost, or yield to entitlement. Thanksgiving rituals persisted, tables set, stories shared, laughter amid memories. The vultures never returned. Last reports placed Marcus in low-end sales down south, Vanessa in administrative work out west. Their easy money dreams evaporated, replaced by consequences of choices. I remain curator,
Guardian,
storyteller of her memory. The art endures, teaching future generations that love outvalues currency. Promises bind stronger than blood. Yet the ethical shadow persists, in a world quick to chase inheritance. When does safeguarding become isolation? What would you choose facing similar betrayal, confront or concede? Grandma's final gift was not just beauty preserved, but the haunting query: does protecting what matters always demand revealing ugly truths? Leaving us to wonder if the peace won justifies the fractures left behind.